43 extraordinary children were born to mostly single women who had shown no signs of pregnancy in seemingly random locations around the world. The children were either abandoned or put up for adoption. For reasons unknown, Sir Reginald set out. He sought to track down and adopt as many of the children as he could. He only found 7 of them. Today, on the Comic Book Report, the Umbrella Academy Library Edition Volume 1 Apocalypse Suite from Dark Horse. Stick around and check it out. Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today we're back with another Dark Horse collection. We're finally breaking into the world of the Umbrella Academy. I'll admit my first exposure to this work was by watching the first season of the Netflix adaptation. My wife and I enjoyed that first season, and when I heard there were comics it was based on, I knew it was a matter of time. Imagine my joy when Dark Horse saw fit to provide me this review copy in exchange for the honest review. Thank you again to Dark Horse. This work was written by Gerard with art from Gabriel, and honestly, this was an absolute delight. I can't wait to dive into today's review, but before we do, I'd just like to shout out the channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, perhaps this very book, I encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link for it in this video's description, and if you see anything on the site you like, you can use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you for considering. Now let's get started with today's comic book review. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The comics in this volume were written by Gerard, with art by Gabriel. The comics in this volume were published by Dark Horse beginning in 2007. As far as what this book collects, it includes the Umbrella Academy, the Apocalypse Suite, issues 1 through 6, along with the short stories Mon Dieu and But the Past Ain't Through With You Yet. And finally, this is an oversized hardcover edition with glossy print paper stock, a sewn binding, and a total of 216 pages. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. I'd also like to throw up a brief mature content warning. We do have several instances of violence and in a couple pieces of art, some nudity. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first look at the front cover for this library edition from Dark Horse Comics. In case it's not evident, this edition does not include a slipcase or any kind of cover. It is just the hardback book itself. It's a pretty minimalistic looking cover. We have a field of black followed by white text and of course the Umbrella Academy little umbrella logo. We have the creators' names at the bottom as well. It is a very striking visual, but again, a bit minimalistic. Across the spine, I think it's a really sharp design. We have the Dark Horse logo, the Umbrella Academy, the creators, and then at the bottom there we have a little bit more from Dark Horse. Again, fairly minimalistic here. It retains the black with the white font. Something else I'll say about this actual hardcover, if you didn't notice it, I noticed like maybe the oils from my hands. You can see like fingerprints and handprints on the material of this book. It's not the same kind of glossy material I see with a lot of other collections. It has almost a light texturing to it. Just something to note. Across the back cover as well, we have some accolades, reviews, a blurb about the collection, as well as a note about the Netflix series, pricing information, things like that. All pretty standard fare, again, just the simple black and white as well. Overall, a really nice looking visual aesthetic. I would have loved to see a little bit more of Gabriel Ba's art, perhaps, but I still think that this is a really nice way to go for this library edition. And now that we've examined the exterior, just a quick look at this book's binding. As I mentioned, I do believe this is sewn binding with a beautiful black ribbon bookmark sewn in, quite nice as well. The binding is nice though. We have a little bit of an eye here. I think the page is laid down fairly flat. No real complaints from me, very minimal gutter loss in this work. And as we finished looking at that binding, I did want to show this library edition next to another accepted comic book collected edition format. To do that, I have it next to an oversized omnibus edition. In this case, the Nightwing Prince of Gotham omnibus from DC Comics. This is a book I've recently unboxed and reviewed. I'm not sure if I'm going to drop this review or that review first, so if you're interested in seeing that coverage, check my channel to see if I've dropped it. I'll try to link the video if I can. But yeah, as you can see, this library edition towers over the omnibus size, so it is quite a bit bigger, which is nice. Definitely get to see a nice showing of the work in this blown out format. And after we finish up that comparison shot, again with that DC omnibus, we can go ahead and make our way into the collection proper. So as we open up this Umbrella Academy Library Edition, we have some gorgeous end pages with the Eiffel Tower. Absolutely love it. You know, title page, dedication information page, publication information page, and then we actually have an introduction from the incredible Grant Morrison, one of my favorite comic book writers, and clearly one of the favorites of Gerard Way, the series writer for Umbrella Academy. Loved reading Morrison's introduction. I think it really set the stage for what I was about to read, and it was a real fun treat. After that, we do jump right into the first issue of the Umbrella Academy, and we really get a feel for the tone of this work right away. And I think that's to this book's strength. We have kind of an odd sort of recollection or framing of how the events in this book began, you know, with the birth of these fantastical children from mothers who never showed any signs of pregnancy that just spontaneously burst into labor. This also coincided with a lot of other weird happenings, so you get this feel that this is in kind of supernatural or beyond the scope of what is normal kind of event. They set the stage that these children are born sort of inexplicably, and this rich man who might be an alien seeks out to adopt as many around the world as he can, and he ends up with 7. Now, these 7 are numbered by their, corresponding numbers. They're also given sort of superhero alter ego nicknames, and this man basically raises them to be kind of a dysfunctional X-Men or Doom Patrol-like family of kid crime fighters known as, you guessed it, the Umbrella Academy. We flash forward, of course, though, to the present moment where all of these children are now grown up, they're adults, having survived their childhood, or at least some of them. The father or patriarch of this family, Sir Reginald, has passed away, and this is what really brings all of the remaining children together. They, again, grew up in a very dysfunctional environment where they weren't necessarily beloved, or at least by appearances, by this father figure. They were raised by a kind of mechanized robotic mom alongside a super intelligent chimp. Anyway, all the family gets together. We find out that the eldest brother, known as Spaceman, I think he's number 1, has been living on the moon, and he has a human head and a gigantic gorilla body for the rest of him after he survived a horrible accident. His other siblings have different ranges of abilities. We have, I believe it's number 5, when he was a child, he can jump through time, and we find out, gets stuck in the future, so he's gone for a while. Another one of their siblings, I believe, has passed away. We have the kind of mysterious Vanya, who seems to be the only one apparently without powers, who is kind of a violinist who's trying to make her way into an orchestra. The other ones you just see kind of fell off their super heroic ventures. There's one that throws knives and has some other abilities that's kind of become a kind of noir detective-y sort of vigilante. We have one that has a kind of suggestive ability where if she says a rumor or kind of whispers something that she heard, it kind of comes into being or happens as kind of a persuasion or mind control ploy. Anyway, a couple others that have these abilities, but this is our dysfunctional group who all kind of come to either mourn their father or make sure he's dead or some variation of that. Around this time, number 5 returns from the future, still apparently, at least by all visual appearances, a child, but he's aged mentally, 40, 50 years. And he basically says that he was in the future and he got stuck, and that the apocalypse happens on Earth and leaves an utter wasteland, and that apocalypse will happen in 2 or 3 days. This kind of militarizes this family, who many of which come together to try to stop this presumably forthcoming apocalypse. They kind of cast doubt on whether or not number 5 is crazy after his time Alone in the future. We see Vanya kind of seduced by this orchestra who ends up experimenting on her, augmenting her latent powers, and they're going to use her music to help usher in the apocalypse. That's all coming to fruition while the rest of the Umbrella Academy either team up or try to find their own means to stopping what's coming. Along the way, we have some casualties. We have number 5 fighting off against this agency that's coming after him from presumably the future. And anyway, we have a lot of interesting superheroic kind of hijinks. There's a real offbeat sense of action and humor in this. A little bit of vulgarity, certainly quite a bit of violence. I mentioned earlier that we have a little bit of nudity, but that's just really kind of art in the background. It's not really centralized and definitely not sexualized in any way. I just wanted to mention it for those curious. And this whole work, this whole story arc, the Apocalypse Suite, ultimately culminates with the remaining Umbrella Academy children, who are now adults, trying to stop their sister and this forthcoming apocalypse. One of the other Umbrella Academy sisters gets her throat slit, and Vanya is left almost dead by the end as they try to stop her. But the apocalypse maybe is beginning anyway, but then it's kind of thwarted. Anyway, it's a really fantastical climax that I won't spoil in too great detail here because I want to save some for those that want to enjoy it for themselves. But a really fun book with a lot of twists and turns. This is a very serviceable first story arc that definitely opens up to future stories. I know that there were other collections after this, subsequent library editions, that presumably continue the narrative. Yeah, and honestly, the art throughout this collection I thought was fantastic. You have a cover artist that has kind of a dreamy, more realistic interpretation of the characters, and then the interior art from Gabriel, which is really more animated and pop arty, jump from the page, hard-lined, interesting, evocative, immersive, and the art throughout it was consistent. I really liked it. It's definitely highly stylized, but it hit for me. After that, we have a really big slew of extras. We have some written work from Gerard, we have some character models from Way and Gabriel, some discussions or little blurbs next to it that kind of outline the evolution of the character designs for many of the characters. And of course, we also have a couple of those short stories I mentioned that were also included that I believe came out before the original issue of Umbrella Academy, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, they provide context for that in this book as well that you can see for yourself. Really loaded with extras here, a fantastic amount of bonus material. And that really is the Umbrella Academy Library Edition Volume 1, The Apocalypse Suite, collecting the first 6 issues of the Umbrella Academy, that first major story arc, with a couple other short stories and a ton of extras. A really fun, oversized hardcover book from Dark Horse. I had a blast with it, and I think all that's left to do now is to give this book a grade. For this frenetic, unpredictable thrill ride in comic book vigilante storytelling, the Comic Book Report is happy to give the Umbrella Academy Library Edition Volume 1, The Apocalypse Suite, a B. This was a well above average read for me. In fact, I consider it one of my favorite books I've read from Dark Horse in recent years, and I'm really happy I finally got to visit it. Like I mentioned at the top of this video, I did watch the first season of the Netflix series, so I thought that this was a fun property, but reading the source material, I think it's even more interesting and unique, and yeah, I had a real blast here. After reading this first collection, I would absolutely consider subsequent volumes. The characters were all interesting, the art from Gabriel I thought was evocative, immersive, and everything I wanted it to be. Fit the source material absolutely. There's a real synergy with these creators here, and that's palpable on every page. The library edition, while not only just oversized, but also packed with so many extras, it was a real treat to experience this comic in that format. A real great release here from Dark Horse, and one I would probably recommend to many out there. But that's just my thought on the Umbrella Academy. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've checked out this edition. All of that in the comments section. Again, a huge thank you to Dark Horse for providing this review copy in exchange for this honest review, and for all of you for taking the ride with me. Until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to leave your like, comment, and maybe check out another video on your way out. Thanks again, everyone, and have a good one.